Most people work hard for money, but the rich, they make money work for them. It's not luck, it's philosophy. The poor chase comfort, the rich chase growth. The average man spends, the wealthy multiply. Wealth isn't built in a day, it's built in decisions. Small disciplines, done daily, become empires over time. So before you try to earn like the rich, learn to think like them. Because wealth doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your mind. The poor and the rich aren't separated by luck, education, or background. They're separated by philosophy. One group spends life reacting, the other spends life creating. One says, I can't afford it. The other asks, how can I afford it? See, wealth isn't built overnight. It's built over mindsets, moments, and years of quiet discipline. The rich don't work harder than everyone else. They work differently. They build their fortune the way a gardener tends his soil, patiently, intentionally, knowing that roots grow long before fruits appear. Most people chase money like a shadow, and the faster they run, the further it escapes. But those who become valuable, who invest in growth, character, and contribution, they find that money starts chasing them. Wealth isn't something you pursue, it's something you attract by the person you become. So today, I don't want to just talk about money. I want to talk about mentality. Because if you can change the way you think, you'll change the way you work. And if you change the way you work, you'll change what you earn, what you build, and who you become. Remember, success is not a mystery. It's a series of small disciplines practiced over time. And time, my friend, always reveals who did the real work. Let me tell you something that changed the course of my life. The rich think in decades, not days. Most people want success to show up by Friday. They plant a seed on Monday and are disappointed by Wednesday that there's no tree yet. But wealth doesn't grow on your schedule. It grows on its own timeline through patience, consistency, and wise management. The rich understand that time is not their enemy. It's their most valuable ally. While others are chasing quick wins, they are building foundations so deep that storms can't shake them. When I was younger, I wanted results overnight. I thought hard work alone was the key. But then I learned, it's not just hard work, it's smart patience. A farmer doesn't pull the seed out of the ground to see if it's growing. He trusts the process, nurtures it daily, and gives it time to mature. Wealth works exactly the same way. You plant through effort, you water with discipline, and you harvest through persistence. The rich don't spend their profits, they reinvest them. Every dollar is a soldier, sent out to bring back more friends. When I first started saving, it wasn't exciting. It was almost invisible. But over time, that quiet discipline became a force. Compounding began to do what hustle alone couldn't. The same goes for skills and relationships. You can't master communication or leadership in a week. But give it 10 years, and you'll speak with influence, lead with wisdom, and attract opportunities effortlessly. You see, the poor think in paychecks. The rich think in generations. The poor ask, how much can I make today? The rich ask, what am I building for tomorrow? That shift changes everything. Because when your vision extends beyond your current season, short-term failures no longer discourage you, they educate you. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes preparation. So my advice is simple. Stretch your timeline. Set 10-year goals instead of 10-day ones. Build something worth waiting for. Don't let impatience steal your future. Because the truth is, wealth is not an event. It's a result of compounded actions, habits, and decisions over time. The moment you start thinking in decades, your life begins to move in a completely different direction. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. That's a philosophy that completely changes how you see work, wealth, and time. Most people have been trained since childhood to trade time for money. They clock in, clock out, and hope at the end of the week there's enough left to survive. But the rich think differently. They ask, how can I create something once that continues to pay me forever? That's the difference between earning a living and building a fortune. When I started working, I used to count the hours. I believed more hours meant more pay, more effort meant more reward. But I later realized the market doesn't care how many hours you work. It cares about the value you create within those hours. Some people work 10 hours and get paid little. Others make one decision in 10 minutes that earns them millions. The secret? They learn to multiply value, not time. Value is built through skills, innovation, and problem solving. The person who can sell, communicate, and lead, that's the person who shapes the marketplace. The question is not how much can I do, but how much can I contribute that matters. And once you learn to create value that outlives your effort, you stop running on the treadmill of time and start building a ladder toward freedom. The rich understand leverage. They build systems, assets, and ideas that earn even while they sleep. They write a book once and it sells for decades. They invest once and it compounds for years. They train people once and the team multiplies results. That's the magic of value over time. So take a moment and ask yourself, what skill do you have that can create value without constant effort? Maybe it's teaching, designing, managing, investing, or communicating. Package it, multiply it. Create something once that keeps paying you, because your future wealth depends on the systems you build today. And remember, busyness is not productivity. Many people mistake motion for progress, but activity without results is just noise. Focus on outcomes, not effort. Focus on impact, not hours. You can always work harder, but if you don't learn to work smarter, your results will always stay limited. The goal is freedom, not fatigue. And freedom begins when your value keeps working long after you've stopped. Wealth doesn't start with a paycheck, it starts with understanding. Money, my friends, is a language. And like any language, if you don't learn how to speak it, you'll always be misunderstood by it. Too many people work hard for money but never take the time to study how it actually works. They earn it, they spend it, they chase it, but they never learn its rhythm, and that's why it always slips through their fingers. When I was young, I made that same mistake. I thought if I just worked harder, money would solve itself. But the truth is, money follows those who understand it. The rich don't just earn money, they make it work for them. They know where every dollar goes, what it does, and how it returns. They study cash flow. They study taxes. They study leverage. They learn how to turn income into assets and assets into freedom. And because they understand the game, they play it better than everyone else. Money is not emotional. It doesn't respond to wishes or complaints. It responds to principles. And those principles are learnable. The rich spend years mastering them. They read financial books the way others read gossip columns. They understand compounding the way others understand shopping discounts. They know what an asset is and what a liability is, and they never confuse the two. If you want to rise above financial struggle, you must study money as if your life depends on it, because it does. Take 1 hour a day to learn how wealth moves. Study how people build businesses, how investors think, how money flows through the system. Look at how wealthy people manage risk, how they diversify, how they protect and grow what they earn. That knowledge gives you control. and control creates peace. Ignorance, on the other hand, is the most expensive mistake in the world. You pay for it in bad decisions, missed opportunities, and wasted years. So learn the language of money until it becomes natural to you. Talk about it, read about it, teach it, and apply it. Don't be intimidated by it, master it. Because once you understand how money works, you'll never work for money the same way again. The rich speak the language of wealth fluently, and once you learn it too, abundance won't be a mystery anymore. It'll be a conversation you're finally part of. Discipline is the silent currency of the wealthy. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's the difference between those who wish for success and those who build it. Every dream, every goal, every fortune ever created rests on the back of discipline, doing what must be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. You see, everyone wants freedom, but few are willing to earn it through daily consistency. The rich understand that freedom is not a gift. It's the reward of structure, sacrifice, and routine. When I was young, I wanted success quickly, like most people do. But I learned the hard way that desire without discipline leads to disappointment. I remember a mentor once telling me, "You'll either pay the price of discipline today, or you'll pay the price of regret tomorrow." That hit me like a hammer, because discipline costs sense compared to the debt of regret. The wealthy don't avoid discipline, they automate it. They turn the hard things into habits until success becomes their default setting. Every day, the successful rise with purpose. They read, they review their goals, they manage their time, they track their spending, not because they're stingy, but because they're stewards of their wealth. They invest consistently, even when the market shakes. They save automatically, they learn continually, and they act decisively. Over time, that rhythm creates a compounding effect far more powerful than luck or talent. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You don't need to do everything right. You just need to do the right things long enough. Wealthy people reward habits, not outcomes, because they know outcomes are temporary, but habits are eternal. A disciplined life compounds like interest, small daily deposits of good behavior that eventually turn into fortune, freedom, and peace. Think about it. One undisciplined purchase, one lazy week, one broken promise to yourself. Doesn't seem like much, but add those up over years and they destroy your future. On the other hand, one small act of discipline practiced daily can transform everything. The difference between average and extraordinary isn't intensity, it's consistency. So treat discipline like your daily currency. Spend it wisely. Invest it in your health, your mind, your finances, and your relationships. Because wealth doesn't begin with money, it begins with mastery, and mastery begins with discipline. Wealth doesn't grow in isolation, it multiplies through association. Your environment shapes your energy, and your circle shapes your ceiling. If you spend enough time around people who talk small, think small, and act small, you'll start to shrink too. But surround yourself with people who think big, who challenge you to stretch, who see beyond your excuses, and suddenly your world expands. That's why the wealthy guard their associations like treasure. They know one good conversation can change their financial destiny. I remember when I was just getting started, I didn't have money, but I had time, so I invested that time in finding the right people. I attended seminars, business events, and small gatherings where people were talking about ideas, not gossip. I learned that proximity is power. Simply being around people who operate at a higher frequency forces you to grow. Their habits rub off, their vision infects you, and before long, you start thinking like them. The rich understand that relationships are leverage. They don't just network to collect contacts. They connect to create value. Every time they meet someone, they ask, how can I serve this person? How can we win together? They give first advice, encouragement, resources, knowing that generosity builds trust, and trust builds opportunity. Over time, that trust becomes the soil where wealth grows. If you want to change your income, change your conversations. Stop spending time with people who drain your energy and start spending time with people who expand your thinking. Attend at least one event a month where people talk about growth, investment, and innovation. Send that message. Make that call. Follow up. Fortune lives in follow-up. Relationships fade without attention, and opportunities die in silence. And remember, it's not just about finding successful people. It's about becoming the kind of person they want to know. Be reliable. Be curious. Be valuable. Keep learning so you have something meaningful to offer. Wealthy people connect through contribution, not desperation. They understand that success is a team sport. No one builds an empire alone. So build your network deliberately. Feed it with time, trust, and generosity. Because in the long run, your net worth won't be determined by what you have in your bank account. It will be determined by who you have in your corner. It's not what you make that counts. It's what you keep, what you protect, and what you grow. Most people spend their lives chasing income, but the wealthy spend their lives defending wealth. They understand that money is like a garden. It can grow only if it's guarded. And if you're careless with what you earn, it doesn't matter how much you make, it will slip through your fingers just as fast as it arrives. When I first started earning more, I made the same mistake many people make. I thought income was the finish line. I bought a few nice things, upgraded my lifestyle, and called it progress. But then I realized money that isn't managed is money that disappears. Wealthy people don't let their emotions make their spending decisions. They let their systems do it. They treat money like a business partner, not a toy. They plan where it goes before it even arrives. Every month, the successful review their finances, not to stress, but to stay aware. They know exactly where their money is going, how it's performing, and how it's working for them. They don't ignore bills or trust luck. They take charge. And when it comes to lifestyle, they understand a simple rule: don't let your desires outrun your discipline. They don't buy luxuries to look rich. They let their assets pay for luxuries once they've earned them. That's why the rich stay rich and the broke stay broke. One seeks appearance, the other seeks endurance. Protection doesn't just mean saving, it means preparing. The wealthy diversify. They have multiple streams of income, not just one fragile paycheck. They invest across different areas: business, real estate, stocks, education, so that if one slows down, the others still flow. They insure their assets and their health, not because they expect failure, but because they plan for reality. The poor hope things go right. The rich prepare in case they don't. So take a hard look at your finances. Review your statements. Track your habits. Identify your leaks, those hidden expenses, those emotional purchases, those silent drains on your wealth. Fix them. Every dollar you save and protect becomes a seed for your future. Wealth isn't built by luck or lavishness. It's built by those who protect what they've earned. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to make more money, it's to keep more, grow more, and need less. One of the greatest mistakes a person can make after achieving a little success is believing the journey of learning is over. The wealthy know that success is not a certificate of completion. It's merely a progress report. Formal education may get you started. It teaches you to earn a living. But self-education, the kind you pursue voluntarily and continuously, is what builds a fortune. The moment you stop learning, your wealth stops growing. I remember early in my career, I met a man whose library was larger than his living room. He told me, "The day you stop learning is the day your income stops rising." That struck me deeply. You see, the wealthy understand that the marketplace rewards value, and value only increases when you grow as a person. They read books, attend seminars, study new industries, and listen to people who challenge their perspective. They treat every conversation as a classroom and every experience as a lesson. The poor often think they can't afford to learn. The rich know they can't afford not to. While one scrolls through distractions, the other studies opportunity. They don't learn just for knowledge, they learn for application. Every new idea is tested, every principle is practiced. They understand that failure isn't a dead end, but a data point, a teacher in disguise. The difference is not intelligence. It's the willingness to remain a student long after the diploma is framed. 30 minutes a day. That's all it takes to stay ahead. Read a few pages. Listen to an audiobook. Watch a lecture or study a mentor. The key is consistency. The wealthy build a daily habit of feeding their minds with the same dedication most people feed their bodies. And because they keep learning, they keep earning, not just in money, but in wisdom, perspective, and adaptability. Curiosity is the spark of innovation. The richest ideas often come from simple questions. Why not? What if? How could this be done better? Those who stop asking, stop growing. The moment you believe you've arrived, you begin your decline. But those who remain humble, hungry, and teachable, they expand their influence, their wealth, and their legacy. So keep learning, keep asking, keep growing, because fortune doesn't favor the finished, it favors the curious. The truly wealthy understand that the purpose of success is not luxury, it's legacy. Luxury fades with time, legacy grows with it. You can wear your wealth on your wrist, or you can plant it in the minds and hearts of others where it continues to multiply long after you're gone. Most people spend their lives trying to impress, but the wise spend their lives trying to impact. The rich think not of what they can consume, but of what they can contribute. I remember a time when I thought success meant having more money, more things, more recognition. But over the years, I realized that the question isn't how much you have. It's what remains when you're no longer here. The rich know that real wealth is measured not by what you acquire, but by what you build that continues without you. They think generationally. They document their lessons, they create systems, and they pass on principles, not just possessions. It's easy to buy your children comfort. It's harder, but far more valuable, to teach them character. The rich don't just give inheritance, they give instruction. They teach their families the discipline of earning, the wisdom of saving, and the purpose of giving. They make sure the next generation doesn't start over, they start ahead. That's how dynasties are built, not from indulgence, but from intentional education and example. Money used to show off dies quickly. Money used to serve, to solve, to support. That's eternal. When your wealth funds progress, when it feeds the hungry, educates the curious, or inspires the discouraged, you've turned success into significance. And the beautiful irony is this: those who chase legacy often end up enjoying greater luxury as a byproduct. Because the universe rewards purpose, it multiplies the good you circulate. The rich don't seek applause, they seek alignment. They live by principles that outlive possessions. They understand that every dollar is a seed, and it can either grow trees of pride or forests of purpose. One fades, the other flourishes. So build something that will outlast you. Write your lessons, share your methods, teach your family, and live in a way that your name stands for more than money. Because success isn't what you get, it's what you leave behind. Wealth doesn't come from creativity alone. It comes from the marriage of creativity and consistency. One without the other is like a seed without soil. You can have the most brilliant ideas in the world, but without the discipline to act, they fade into the background like whispers of potential never realized. The truly wealthy understand that innovation sparks opportunity, but consistency builds the bridge that turns opportunity into wealth. I've seen people filled with ideas every week. A new venture, a new plan, a new next big thing. But ideas are only valuable when they're nurtured through structure and repetition. Creativity gives you direction. Consistency gives you momentum. The people who build fortunes don't chase every flash of inspiration. They choose one flame and feed it until it lights the world. Every great enterprise began with one creative thought, but it lived because someone showed up daily to protect it, refine it, and grow it. When I started out in business, I had ideas that could have changed everything. But the moment I stopped halfway, those ideas lost power. The day I learned to stay consistent, even when the excitement faded, was the day my results multiplied. Success doesn't always arrive with enthusiasm. It often arrives quietly, disguised as discipline. So, keep an idea journal. Capture your creativity. Every spark matters, but don't let it stay on the page. Review it weekly. Choose one idea that aligns with your goals and commit to one small, measurable action. That single step, repeated daily, compounds faster than you think. The wealthy know this. They don't just dream, they document. They don't just plan, they perform. And every performance, no matter how small, builds the foundation of something great. Creativity is the energy that inspires, and consistency is the force that sustains. When you combine both, you create magic, the kind of magic that turns imagination into income and vision into value. Remember, innovation might open the door, but consistency keeps it open. So if you want to build wealth that lasts, let your creativity lead and your consistency follow close behind. Because brilliance without follow-through is just potential wasted. But when you show up for your ideas will start showing up for you. Wealth isn't just built by mastering numbers, it's built by mastering people. Because money, at its core, moves through people. Every opportunity, every sale, every investment, every breakthrough comes from a human being who makes a decision. So if you can understand people, how they think, what they value, what they fear, you can understand wealth itself. You see, people are not logical, they're emotional. They buy feelings, not features. They invest in trust, not just returns. And the wealthy know this truth better than anyone else. When I started in business, I thought success depended solely on having the best product or the sharpest strategy. But I soon learned that it wasn't the product that determined results. It was how well I could connect with people. People want to feel seen, understood, and respected. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The rich study human behavior like an artist studies form and color. Not to manipulate, but to serve better. When you know what drives someone, you can design solutions that truly meet their needs. If you study the great leaders of industry, you'll notice they all have one thing in common: emotional intelligence. They can read the room. They know when to speak and when to listen. They understand timing, tone, and trust. They build relationships that last longer than transactions. Because when you understand people, profit becomes a natural byproduct. Start by reading books on communication, influence, and empathy, because success is 80% connection and 20% execution. Observe patterns in how people respond, what makes them buy, believe, or belong. Study not just what they say, but how they say it. Listen more than you talk. You'll learn more in silence than in 100 speeches. The person who can read others can write their own destiny. Learn to recognize what people need: security, belonging, hope, and position yourself as the one who delivers it. When you serve human needs, money follows. So, don't just chase profits, study people. Because behind every fortune is a deep understanding of human nature. Master that, and you won't have to chase success. It will come looking for you. The wealthy never gamble with what they don't understand. They know that every dollar is a worker, and before they send it to work, they make sure it knows exactly what it's doing. Too many people throw their money into trends, tips, or quick profits without asking the most basic question: do I really understand this? That's not investing, that's guessing. And guesswork is how you lose both peace and prosperity. True investors study before they spend. They don't chase what's popular, they pursue what's proven. They read, they analyze, they question, because clarity creates confidence, and confidence creates consistency. The rich know the role of their money. They can tell you not only where their money is, but why it's there. They understand its purpose, its risks, and its potential. That's how wealth compounds safely, through informed, intentional action. Before I ever put $1 into anything, I learned to ask myself 3 simple questions. Do I understand it? Can I afford to lose it? And does it align with my long-term goals? Those 3 questions have saved more fortunes than any market trend or lucky break ever could. Because when you understand what you're investing in, you remove fear, and fear is the greatest tax on the human mind. I've seen people lose millions chasing someone else's dream because they didn't take the time to study their own. Don't invest because your neighbor did. Don't buy because it's hot. Invest where your knowledge gives you an edge. Stay inside your circle of competence, expand it gradually, but don't wander into territory you can't navigate. Build wisdom faster than wealth, and wealth will eventually have no choice but to follow. The marketplace rewards understanding. The more you know, the more control you gain, and the more peace you keep. So, don't rush. Study the game. Learn the language of assets, risk, and return. Because when you know what you're doing, every dollar you invest becomes a soldier in your army of freedom. Remember, wealth is not about speed, it's about sense. Don't try to be the first in. Aim to be the wisest in. When you understand your money will begin to understand you. And that's when it starts working harder than you ever could. The wealthy know something most people overlook. Time is the ultimate currency. You can lose money and earn it back, but once an hour passes, it's gone forever. That's why they treat every moment as an investment, not an expense. Every choice with your time is a trade. You're exchanging a piece of your life for something, a conversation, a habit, an activity. The question is, are you trading it for something that compounds or something that disappears? When I was young, I used to say, I don't have time. Then I learned that the rich never say that. They simply decide how to use it better. They audit their calendars like accountants audit books. They ask, is this task moving me closer to my vision or keeping me busy without progress? Most people confuse activity with achievement. They work hard all day but produce little of real value because their energy is scattered. The wealthy focus. They prioritize the vital few over the trivial many. Every successful person I've met blocks time for what matters most. They have focus hours where distractions die and creation happens. They don't let notifications dictate their day or entertainment steal their evenings. Instead, they turn that same hour others spend scrolling into learning, thinking, or building. That single hour of self-education every day compounds into mastery over time. And here's the truth. Your calendar reveals your priorities more honestly than your words ever could. If I looked at your schedule for the week, would I see your dreams or your distractions? Would I see a plan or procrastination? Wealth doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things consistently over time. The rich also understand the rhythm of time. They know when to push and when to pause. They invest in rest because burnout is the silent thief of brilliance. They schedule reflection and recovery because clarity doesn't come from chaos, it comes from quiet. If you want to join the ranks of those who build real wealth, start by mastering time. Eliminate one time-wasting habit this week. Guard your focus like it's treasure. Trade 1 hour of entertainment for education, and soon that education will pay for a lifetime of freedom. Because in the end, time is the soil in which wealth grows. Use it wisely, and your harvest will be rich beyond measure. The wealthy see failure differently than most. While the average person avoids it like a disease, the rich treat it as a classroom. Expensive, yes, but priceless in return. Every failure carries a message, a formula, a clue about what to adjust next time. That's why I say failure isn't a loss, it's tuition. The price you pay to learn lessons no textbook can teach. I remember my early days in business. I made mistakes, big ones. I invested in the wrong ventures, trusted the wrong people, missed opportunities because I didn't yet understand timing. Each failure felt heavy at first. But as I sat down to reflect, I realized every one of those setbacks gave me insight that success never could. Success hides the flaws. Failure exposes them. And exposure is where the real learning begins. The wealthy don't run from failure. They analyze it. After a mistake, they ask, what did this cost me? What did it teach me? How can I turn this expense into experience? They write down lessons, not laments. They move from emotion to evaluation. That's why they fail fast. Because every time they stumble, they're gathering data for their next breakthrough. The poor see failure as the end of the story. The rich see it as a draft that needs revision. You can trace the difference between winners and quitters by how they interpret pain. The quitter says, I tried and it didn't work. The winner says, now I know one more way it doesn't work. I'm closer than before. Every great success story is stitched with scars. The entrepreneur who built an empire didn't avoid failure. He outlearned it. Here's something to remember. Your response to failure determines your financial future. If you let it make you bitter, you lose twice. If you let it make you better, you win even while losing. Write down the lessons after every mistake. Review your past losses. They're not dead moments. They're dormant assets waiting to be reactivated through reflection. And celebrate recovery, not perfection. The wealthiest people aren't those who never fall. They're those who get up faster, wiser, and stronger. Every time you recover, you're training your mind, building your resilience, and compounding your wisdom. So the next time failure knocks, open the door with gratitude. Say, welcome, teacher. Because if you listen closely, Failure will whisper the very secrets that lead to your greatest fortune. The wealthy understand a truth that escapes many. Real success doesn't need to announce itself. The loudest success is often the least stable because it relies on validation instead of foundation. The rich don't chase applause, they chase alignment. They don't need everyone to see what they're building because they know the quiet compounding of effort will speak louder than any display ever could. In my early years, I used to think success meant showing it. The fancy suit, the expensive car, the big talk. But I learned something humbling. Every minute spent trying to look successful is a minute stolen from becoming successful. The wealthy stay grounded, focused on growth, not glory. They understand that ego is the most expensive luxury. It costs peace, focus, and often the very wealth one is trying to build. Quiet wealth grows because it's not distracted by performance. The person who boasts about money is usually insecure about it. The person who quietly multiplies it is too busy studying, investing, and refining systems to seek attention. The rich live by a private scoreboard, one measured in freedom, not followers, peace, not possessions. There's a kind of calm confidence that comes from knowing your direction and not needing to prove it. The truly wealthy don't buy luxury to be seen. They buy time, health, and peace of mind. They upgrade their mindset before they upgrade their lifestyle. Because when your character grows faster than your income, your wealth lasts. But when your image grows faster than your wisdom, it collapses. We live in a world obsessed with appearances, but appearances fade and truth compounds. You see, the quiet builder is planting while others are posting. He's investing while others are impressing. And years later, when the noise has faded, his harvest stands firm. Avoid financial boasting. It drains your energy and inflates your ego. Let your progress be your proof. Let your humility be your armor. When you build in silence, your results make the sound. And always measure wealth not by applause, but by peace. If you have freedom in your schedule, joy in your heart, and purpose in your work, you are wealthier than most who flash their riches for attention. So build quietly. Let your success arrive unannounced, grounded in wisdom, discipline, and truth. Because true wealth never shouts. It whispers through peace, purpose, and time well spent. As we come to a close, I want you to take a deep breath and think about something powerful. Everything you've ever wanted, every dream of wealth, success, and freedom begins not in your bank account, but in your daily disciplines and decisions. Wealth is not a miracle, it's a method. It's not luck, it's law. The same wind blows on us all. The difference is in how we set our sail. If you truly want to change your financial future, start by changing the person who walks into tomorrow. Success is not something you chase, it's something you attract by becoming an attractive person in habits, in thinking, and in discipline. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity, prepare for it. Because when preparation meets opportunity, we call that luck. And the wealthy have mastered the art of making their own luck. Guard your time. Protect your energy. Invest in yourself more than you invest in any stock or real estate. Because the greatest asset you will ever own is your mind, and the greatest return it will ever give you is the freedom to live life on your own terms. Remember, you don't build wealth overnight. You build it over time. One wise decision, one new skill, one disciplined day at a time. Stay humble in success, hungry in growth, and patient in progress. So my call to you today is this: start now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Start with what you have, where you are, and who you've become, and commit to becoming more. Your future self is watching. Give them something extraordinary to thank you for. Because wealth, real wealth, is not about money, It's about mastery, and that journey begins today.